It happened again. A violent crunch exploded outside my front door, ripping through the quiet morning like a gunshot. Tires screamed as a vehicle tore down the street, fleeing the scene. I didn't even need to look, I already knew. Still, my heart leapt into my throat as I dropped my coffee and bolted for the porch. There it was. My mailbox destroyed. Splintered wood, twisted metal, and crushed tulips lay scattered across my lawn like debris from a crime scene. The post was snapped clean, the box mangled and face down in the dirt. A fresh black scar of rubber streaked diagonally across the grass. I stood frozen, staring down the road just in time to catch the fatting rear end of a white SUV kicking up dust as it sped away. And behind the wheel I saw her, Nancy. Her round face flashed past the window, eyes squinted shut with laughter, mouth wide open in a shriek of glee. In the passenger seat, her identical twin sister Barbara held up a phone, filming the whole thing like it was some twisted prank show. That was the third time in 2 months. I knelt beside the wreckage, lifting a bent shard of metal that once displayed my house number. One of the screws was still warm. The air smelled like burned paint and gasoline. They hadn't even tried to hide it. Nancy and Barbara, the neighborhood Karens, had officially declared war, and I was the fool who thought politeness would protect me. When the twins moved in 6 months earlier, the neighborhood changed overnight. They were impossible to miss, two loud, perfume-soaked storms of entitlement in their early 40s, identical in every inconvenient way. Both obese, constantly sweating, wheezing after just a few steps. What they lacked in stamina, they made up for in volume. Everyone heard them before they saw them. They always wore matching floral sundresses, drowning in perfume that smelled like melted cherries and cheap sunscreen. Minor inconveniences became public meltdowns, and at the center of their universe was their SUV, a massive, lifted white Escalade they proudly called the Queen Barge. They worshipped it, and they drove it like a demolition tool. My mailbox became their favorite target. The first time they called it an accident. A light hit, the post cracked but still standing. I fixed it, gave them the benefit of the doubt. The second time wasn't subtle. They plowed straight through it and never slowed down. Later that day I confronted Barbara. She laughed. "Maybe don't put it so close to the road," she said smugly, sipping a Diet Coke. "That's where mailboxes go," I replied. "Well, maybe if it was prettier I wouldn't hit it," she chirped. "Ugly things are hard to see." It wasn't just the mailbox. They blocked driveways, interfered with trash pickup, blasted music until 2 a.m. If anyone complained, they either played dumb or escalated. They called the HOA on neighbors for nothing. Once, they accused my elderly neighbor of threatening behavior because he asked them to lower the volume. But the mailbox, that was personal. I went to the HOA. "We'll look into it," they said. They didn't. I filed a police report. The officer told me unless I could prove intent, it was a civil issue. So I installed cameras. 2 weeks later, at exactly 7:13 a.m., it happened again. I watched it live on my phone. Nancy lined up from halfway down the street, floored it like she was playing Grand Theft Auto, jumped the curb and slammed directly into the mailbox. The post exploded, wood and metal flew. Barbara laughed so hard she dropped her iced coffee. They drove off. I saved the footage. The HOA dismissed it. The police shrugged. Could be an accident. An accident caught on video with laughter. I confronted them again. They were unloading groceries, bags full of frozen meals and junk food. Nancy wore a lime green dress with pink roses. Barbara wore sunflowers. I held up a printed still from the video. "You want to explain this?" "Photoshop," Nancy said without looking. "Deepfake," Barbara added. "You're targeting my property," I said. "You put it too close to the street," Nancy snapped, breath reeking of peanut butter crackers. "It's exactly where the city placed it." "Then the city's stupid," Barbara smirked, "or maybe you're scamming us." That was it. That night I sat in my garage staring at the broken remains of my mailbox. I wasn't angry anymore, I was exhausted. So I searched indestructible mailbox. What I found changed everything. Steel posts, concrete cores, reinforced designs meant to survive tractors, forums full of people fed up with vandals. One caption stuck with me: "They hit me once, never again." I started planning. No more wood, no more forgiveness. I built a monument. A 4-inch steel pipe, 6 feet long, rebar filled, welded shut, buried 3 feet deep in reinforced concrete. The mailbox itself looked ordinary black aluminum chrome flag, but beneath it was solid steel.
Bait.
I poured the concrete at midnight. By morning, it stood perfectly innocent.
They noticed immediately.
They put up another one, Barbara laughed. Try an hour, Nancy replied.
They waited.
Then one quiet Tuesday morning at 6:42 a.m., I heard the engine roar. The Queen barge charged down the street.
Impact.
Metal screamed, the SUV recoiled, the bumper folded, the tire exploded, steam poured from the hood, the car died on my lawn. My mailbox didn't even scratch. Nancy and Barbara stumbled out screaming. I filmed everything. Police arrived. Officer Ramirez, the same one who dismissed me before, watched the footage.
You drove straight into it, he said.
Insurance denied the claim, $7,000 in damages. The video went viral.
Memes, remixes, headlines.
They weren't done. Trash dumping sauce smeared on my mailbox, threat notes. Every move caught on camera.
HOA meeting, evidence presented, fines issued.
Neighbors came forward. Code enforcement followed. Violations everywhere.
And as Nancy screamed and tore up the citation, I leaned against my mailbox, sipping iced tea.
Because the war they started,
they lost.